Mr. Miyagi is one of the most iconic movie characters of all time, and he's personally my favorite character in all of cinema. He has wise teachings about self-defense, balance, and life that resonate even today. He's got a great sense of humor.
You always behind
He's a war hero who remains humble, even after winning the greatest honor in the military. And he never goes looking for fights. But if he or someone he loves is in danger, he'll take down guys twice his size and half his age. The scene in the original Karate Kid when he gets drunk on his anniversary and laments the loss of his wife and child really humanizes him, and it's commonly known as the scene that got Pat Morita a nomination for Best Supporting Actor at the Oscars. Even in the bad movies of the series like Karate Kid 3 and The Next Karate Kid, he adds so much warmth and purity to every scene he's in.
You healed her, Mr. Miyagi.
No, Angel himself. But your faith gives her courage to fly.
One of the biggest discussions surrounding Cobra Kai Season 6 revolves around the mysterious past of Mr. Miyagi. If you haven't watched Season 6 on Netflix yet, I'll be getting into some spoiler territory. Daniel finds a box that contains items and newspapers suggesting that Mr. Miyagi committed assault and theft in his past. Not to mention the fact that he not only competed in the Sekai Taikai, but apparently beat someone to a bloody pulp. Daniel's views of his mentor and father figure are heavily challenged this season, creating a bit of controversy. In my review of Season 6 Part 1, I expressed that there's still too much story left in Season 6 to jump to conclusions, but that I also wasn't a fan of retroactively making changes to an iconic character from decades ago. That being said, John, Josh, and Hayden, the creators of Cobra Kai, have nothing but love and respect for the franchise. In a recent interview with The Hollywood Reporter, they expressed plans for a Mr. Miyagi Prequel series. Now, this is a really interesting idea that has me both intrigued and nervous. It's too early to say if this is a good idea or not, but in this video, I want to give 3 potential reasons why I think a Mr. Miyagi series could work, and 3 reasons why it might not. Let me know in the comments what you think about this. Do you like the idea of Mr. Miyagi having a dark past, or would you rather them just leave his character alone? Let me start by giving my reasons why I think a Miyagi prequel series could really work. Reason number 1. John, Josh, and Hayden's love for Mr. Miyagi in the franchise as a whole. It's clear by watching Cobra Kai that these 3 men have a deep passion for the entire Karate Kid series. They've made countless little references to all the movies. They've brought back all the original characters and actors, almost. And they've managed to make the original movies much more narratively rich by adding depth to one-dimensional bad guys like Kreese and Silver. They even come up with logical explanations for some of the sillier plot points for the original movies.
I spent months terrorizing a teenager over a high school karate tournament. It sounds insane just talking about it.
Despite my negative review of Season 6 Part 1, I think the franchise has been in amazing hands with John, Josh, and Hayden, and they've done a great job at honoring Mr. Miyagi's legacy and showing how much of an impact he made not just on Daniel, but his entire family. While I still have some concerns about them possibly revealing a dark side of Miyagi, these 3 have proven they show great respect for the character, so I hope they prove me wrong, and I think they can. They even talked through a detailed background for Miyagi with Robert Mark Kamen, the writer of the original Karate Kid, so that in itself proves that they really want to get it right. Reason number 2, Miyagi has a rich history in Okinawa and a whole military career in World War II, which presents countless opportunities for adventures and conflict. His years in Okinawa alone give us his roots as a fisherman and a karate student with his father, a friends to enemies story with Sato, and a romance with Yukie in Okinawa. We know thanks to this line that he's had to fight for his life before.
Ed, you told me you fought a lot.
Ah, for life, not for points.
Who did he fight, and how brutal did it get? They could easily fill a season or 2 with his stories in Okinawa alone, and another season or 2 with his years fighting in World War II. We could see how he wins the Medal of Honor, and experience the dramatic moment when he inevitably loses his wife and child from childbirth complications at an internment camp. And this brings me to reason number 3. This show could be a really good drama with a more serious tone. Cobra Kai leans into goofy, over-the-top humor more times than not, which fits the comedy brand of the same trio that brought us Hot Tub Time Machine. Cobra Kai has given us juvenile gags about front wedgies and diarrhea, but it also can really flex its dramatic muscles when the story calls for it. The Miyagi series is a chance for them to really lean more into the drama, while still maintaining Mr. Miyagi's lovable sense of humor and his dad jokes.
Miyagi, hey, what kind of belt do you have?
Canvas. You like? J.C. Penney, $3.98.
No, I didn't mean a belt like that.
The most interesting theory I heard online was that the necklace he stole was actually his wife's that had been taken from an internment camp officer, and the man he assaulted was the officer who stole it from her and treated her cruelly. Not only would that explain Miyagi's actions in an emotionally resonating way, but I think plenty of fans would agree that something like this would be in character for a young Miyagi. Now, let me move on to my reasons why I think a Miyagi series might not work. The first, and by far the biggest reason, is that it won't star Pat Morita. I'm sure there are talented actors out there who can accurately portray a young Miyagi, but there are some characters that are almost synonymous to their actor, to the point where you can't even fathom someone else playing them. Can you picture anyone else besides Sylvester Stallone as Rocky? Anyone besides Johnny Depp as Captain Jack Sparrow? Anyone besides Bob Odenkirk as Saul Goodman? I consider Better Call Saul to be the greatest prequel of all time, and Odenkirk starring and shining in it is the main reason why. Pat Morita embodied Mr. Miyagi and brought a magic to the screen that simply can't be duplicated in my opinion. Reason number 2. Deconstructing iconic characters and trying to make them human ultimately undermines them and the effect they have on audiences. Disney Star Wars is one of the most recent examples of this. In the original Star Wars trilogy, Luke Skywalker was a protagonist that represented everything brave and pure. He wanted to explore the galaxy and fight evil. He wanted to become a strong and noble warrior. He wanted to save his father from the dark side when no one else believed he could. Luke succeeds at all of these things, and though he has to fend off temptation from the dark side, he never gives in to it. But the Disney trilogy turned his character into a bitter old man who banished himself to an island and revealed that he nearly murdered his own nephew simply because he sensed the dark side in him. Certain characters like Anakin Skywalker can be deconstructed, especially given his turn into villainy, but characters like Luke Skywalker are better left alone. Sometimes characters are simply the idealized version of what we strive to be, and they don't always have to be deconstructed. This is how I feel about Mr. Miyagi. Like I said in my Season 6 review, I don't think retroactively adding backstory to Mr. Miyagi makes him a stronger character. I think we should just let Mr. Miyagi be Mr. Miyagi. Going back to the interview, Hayden compares Daniel's discoveries to a kid idolizing his parents as perfect, having authority on their lives, then later seeing them as a three-dimensional human being. I do get the point he's trying to make, but I don't completely agree with this. I would argue that Mr. Miyagi was already humanized in the first Karate Kid during his drunken meltdown. It's the first time that the mysterious veil is lifted for Daniel and for the audience. It's the first sign of vulnerability that Daniel sees in him, but this ultimately deepens his connection with his mentor and motivates him to train even harder. The second movie continues this by having the two of them bond over the loss of their fathers. Daniel is the one comforting Miyagi, who had just lost his own mentor and father. This is why I don't think we need Cobra Kai to act like this is the first time Daniel sees a vulnerable and human side to Miyagi. And reason number 3. We already know where Miyagi's story starts and ends. Karate Kid 2 allows us to explore his roots in Okinawa. Karate Kid 1 and 3 give us his days as a mentor for Daniel, and seasons 1 through 5 of Cobra Kai give us letters and snapshots of his life with the LaRussos before he dies. While I'm sure there's plenty of new material that they can fit into a prequel series, we still know about all the major elements and stages of his life, so a lot of it may seem redundant. Compare this to Better Call Saul, where we have a character who was mostly used as comic relief in Breaking Bad. We knew next to nothing about his past or who he was. But the prequel series does such a thorough and remarkable job at showing us who Jimmy McGill was before and after he became Saul Goodman. His character went from being a one-dimensional funny guy to becoming arguably the most complex character in the entire Breaking Bad universe. Better Call Saul succeeded in elevating and completing the character in every way imaginable, and showing us that his entire persona in Breaking Bad was nothing more than a mask hiding endless pain and trauma. I don't think a Miyagi series would elevate his character in this way. In my opinion, we know everything we need to know about him. He's already a complete, complex, and beloved movie character, and I don't think filling in more backstory would do anything to enhance what audiences already think of him. All that said, if a Miyagi prequel is greenlit, I hope John, Josh, and Hayden can deliver us something amazing. They clearly have a lot of passion for this character, which gives me hope for the show, but I still have my concerns. It's very early though, and I'm interested to see how the rest of Cobra Kai plays out before we see what happens with a potential Miyagi prequel. Anyway, what are your thoughts? Let me know in the comments. Please like and subscribe if you enjoy my content. Ring that notification bell. Thanks for watching, and I hope you all have a good one.